be live.
Mm-hmm.
And once we do go live, and we are going to give a few seconds to give people a chance to get into the show beforehand. For those who are here now or seeing it later on, I apologize. The show a little bit frantic, I guess is a good way to put it. I had an interesting weekend. I didn't have the chance to get into this beforehand the way I wish I did. So, go ahead and do that real quick. Turn sound and all that real quick. And we'll get started in just a few seconds. Okay, so hello, ladies and gentlemen of Vanderbilt, and welcome to Terrier Rock, Season 2, Episode 11, if I'm correct. A lot to talk about specifically regarding the big district championship game, and here to talk about it, probably the player of the game, not Shirley, but Chandler Rhodes. Thank you for being on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Chandler had a phenomenal game, stat line, just even looking at the game, it was great. 17 tackles, 10 solo tackles, 7 assisted. He was on the ball all the time. My grandfather, a little anecdote, was he was keeping track of the game through the live tweeting, and he said, "Why is Chandler coming up all the time?" Which is odd because when I do it, I only go with forced fumbles and interceptions and the occasional tackle, whereas the offense players usually get mentioned a lot more often. So that's extremely special to have in that sort of game. Just a great game overall. So first of all, now we'll talk about the game itself and what happened there in a little bit. But first of all, I'm wondering, is there anything different that happened in this game? I mean, you've had great games all season, but nothing specifically this statistically significant as this game. So is there anything different between this game and others?
I knew this game we had to run a 5-man box, which is one of the hardest things to do in football. Mm-hmm. And they start out with an 8-man box, which means it's tight end, fullback, running back, and quarterback, and all 5 linemen. So
right.
They're running an 8-man box. We have 5, but we know their wide receivers are going to test us the entire game. So it's pretty much helping us get more DBs out on the edge and in the back part of the defense. But I knew we had to step it up, me and my other linebacker, because they have a really good offense. The running backs all stayed also. I just knew me and Sean had to step it up a lot.
Mm-hmm. I know going into the game, we were going to be running a lot of zone. We were going to be running a lot, preparing for their tendencies to pass. But when you do that and you leave that 5-man box, you have to play well against the run as a linebacker, even as the defensive lineman. And I thought they played very well too.
Yeah, I actually only came unblocked in one play the whole game. That just shows linebackers aren't supposed to get touched, but I only got unblocked one play of the game.
Yes,
it's just hard.
The ideal scenario, of course, you have the D lineman calls a wreck and then the linebackers clean it up.
That's how it is.
But when it's right, but with a 5-man blocks, you have 5-foot linemen. You just got to win your matchup.
You got to win and make the tackle.
Right. But you were able to do that so often Friday night, and it was an incredibly impressive game. Most of the points, or pretty much all the points, came from
short field.
Not only short fields, but just one either blown assignment or one blown coverage, or just, I don't remember his name, but their wide receiver, number 2, is just, we couldn't match up. To me, I think he burned 3 different cornerbacks at 3 different points in time during the game.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
And
it doesn't help. We just blew on some assignments. It's just those dudes were very athletic, and it happens in football. It happens every single day. You can't blame one player because of this or that. They're trying to make plays. That everyone's going to do their best.
Definitely,
but it happens.
There was You're definitely right on one thing exactly. There is a lot of effort on that field for that defense. Even when a person made a mistake, everyone made mistakes, but there was a lot going on, and a subject had to fight tooth and nail for every single point they got. I remember early on in the game, we're up 6-0, we get the big trick play, and then Gavin shakes the punt, they get the short field, and they get down to the 1. I'm thinking, oh no, they're going to score. It's going to just avalanche. This is going to be bad. Stop, tackle for loss,
and then another stop. Then it put it on the 3rd down. That was the 3rd down.
Right, you get 3rd and 4, and I'm thinking from the press box, this isn't that easy of a conversion. We're going to be able to stop this. and then they throw it up to number 2. And
he's a sophomore, like the kid that we're guarding, like the defensive player, he's a sophomore, he's got a lot to learn, but it just so happens they pick out the youngest kid on our defense, he's got a lot to learn. So
and while I do think he didn't play that coverage perfectly, where that ball was and the height difference between the two players, it felt mildly undefendable at that point. That fade ball was just money for them all 3 times they went to it. And they had to fight for the points, but when they got there, they took advantage of the matchups they could.
Yep.
And it was a lot for our defense, who has been playing elite all season, had to for us to be able to cope with, which made the offensive play a little bit more concerning. The defense played very well, and I just, because I stay with the offense a lot, I help with the practices. I knew going in, and I think we knew going in, that the assumption was going to be a great team on defense, and they're a good team on offense with a lot of good pieces too, but it was a struggle on offense for every single point. And it was a struggle to get into the end zone every single time. That's true on both sides, but I wonder, is there anything going through in your mind during the game with how our offense is playing compared to how the defense is playing?
I just know I don't know. I know it's a team effort and stuff, but like sometimes it just gets messed up one way or another. I think the offense worries too much about what other people think of them. Instead of just going out there and do it, they got to believe it in themselves. I think that's what they're lacking the most. But they got some dudes on there. They work hard. I see them at practice every day. They work hard. It's not an effort thing. It's more of a, can we put it together and sustain drives. They got some dudes on there, and that I think they need to just pull through.
And I think a couple of things about that. The offense has been improving from week to week. We finally put together a great half and a good game last week. And we go into this game, and we weren't able to sustain that drive throughout. We get, one good play, one big play, and then we mess up something, and we're stopped, as you say, which we get to the final drive. And through one way or another, we put it together, we get to the end zone. And as a person in the press, I love that. I love watching that drive. But I find it very interesting just how, because I've never had the ability to be on the field and not think. I don't want to say not think about, but my guess would be even when the offense is on the field, you're more worried about what your assignments are in the future drive.
Yeah. What
that difference is between the defense, like when you're playing and when you're not playing, and how you're not that worried about what they're doing. You're not that worried about how. You're just worried about stopping them and getting the ball back to the offense the next time they can.
We just want to give them as many tries as we can.
Yes. And the defense definitely did that. Another remarkable stat, obviously your individual stat was great, but a part of that was that you forced 2 turnovers. The forced fumble recovered by Alex Vilvaso early on in the game, if I recall correctly. That was the first drive, another concern. They started running the ball, and they started moving the ball, and I was, a little concerned, and then you forced that fumble.
That was actually Jackson.
It was Jackson?
Yeah,
oh,
Jackson.
Wow.
But it was still a great play. Everyone's on the ball, and you just punched it out. He did that, though.
I apologize. I messed up.
That's fine. It happens. It's hard to see from the press box.
Yes. The one in the five. Anyway, Jackson forces that fumble, which is a great play. Alex falls on it. It was a sack fumble, too, if I recall correctly. Alex falls on it, and we're rolling, and we're okay. And then, of course, the interception at the end of the game.
We had 2 forced fumbles then, huh?
Yes. Oh, we had.
I forgot about that.
It was, I think,
3
fumbles and 3 picks, I think.
Okay, yeah. I'm talking about a different time then. Jackson.
Okay. Yeah, Jackson had a forced fumble.
Yeah.
I think the first one was yours, though.
Okay.
Maybe.
It just gets confused.
Well, the big thing, the point I was making was your individual statistic, and what I think was two forced turnovers was great, but maybe a more impressive statistic for the team defense was forcing 6 turnovers. That is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So we had no trouble giving the ball back to the offense and giving the offense chances to succeed.
Yeah.
So that's just congratulations. Obviously, I can't talk to the entire defense right now, but congratulations for me to you guys as a whole for that. As a unit, a great performance there. I want to talk about that last interception. Again, my perspective from the press box, they're starting to drive. I'm getting concerned they don't have a great kicker. But
yeah, but that's what I was thinking too. And I see him piecing together these 3-yard plays, these 5-yard plays, and I brought the defense. I was like, we have to stop letting them get that far because they're gonna be able to kick a field goal to win it. And I was like, someone needs to stop this, or we need to have a fourth down stop. Like it needs to end right now, you know. And luckily, I just played my coverage right, and he threw it to me.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't the best coverage, but I just went up there and made a play.
And he made the play, and it was a great play. And also in the back of my mind, watching the game, is I thought you might have housed it for a second there.
Yeah, me too. I seen there was a bunch of them coming down the sideline, and that was my first place to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then while I was running, the only thing I think about was try to get in field goal range, you know. And I knew if I would have went to the left side, I probably would have got stopped around the 50.
Right.
I just wanted to take a chance and hopefully get on the other side of the field in field goal range, you know.
Yeah. And it was definitely worth the risk. There's no question about that. And I thought it worked out well enough. You probably ended up with more yards going that way than if you cut it to the left. But at first, when you intercepted, I'm thinking, okay, you intercepted good, but then you juke make a couple guys miss, and I'm thinking, wait, are you gonna house this?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Yeah, it was an amazing play, a very, very impressive play. But that just gets us to overtime, and the entire game was such a roller coaster. For probably not just from my perspective. I know from a fan perspective, and I probably have a more accurate feeling closer to the people watching, or some of the people that were watching the game, how they felt during the game. Is there any difference between how we felt and how you guys felt? Because I know you were playing it. You were a large part of it. You were a large part of why the game was going the way it was. So how are you feeling just about the game and about trying to win?
I think a lot of people that have played a lot, you know, like there's some specific guys that have been playing since freshman year and sophomore year and stuff. And
you're one of those guys, but
yeah, like we're just trying to keep a calm mind on the people around us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people, this is their first year, second year, they're still new to the game a little bit, and their emotions come out in a negative way sometimes, I find. And like I'm just trying to keep everyone poised as can be, because that's how you become or play better, you know.
Yes,
we'll all play better as a team if we all just remain calm. But I feel like some people's emotions cause worse on the team, you know.
I think that's very true. I think this is true of high schoolers, no matter what extracurricular or whatever situation they're in. When we're teenagers, our hormones are flying around all the time, and we get really emotional, especially in high stakes, especially in things that we care a lot about.
It's good for certain times, like coming off the field on a fourth down stop or a third down stop or interception, you know, or just fighting back. But sometimes whenever you need to be chill, you need to be calm, you just got to know.
Not committing a penalty on a third down, not making a mistake, not blowing something. Yes.
You just got to be able to differentiate from the two.
Right.
Yeah.
Understanding when you can play with that frenzy, that's really important, especially on defense, where a certain physicality is kind of needed, and you can build off that and feed off of that, and knowing when you have to be focused
and keep them in bounds when the clock's trying to get them to not run out of bounds or stuff like that, not hitting the quarterback late sometimes, you know, but it happens.
It's definitely an awareness thing, not just a field awareness, but a game awareness. And I think you made a great point early on in what you were talking about, the difference between a returning starter and a non-returning starter, and how you have to not balance which people are that, which people aren't, but balance the emotions on the field as a returning starter. Now, I mean, it's been a while, but for Clark, you're a 4-year starter, or 4-year at least rotational player as a freshman. So, and I think you're the only one. I mean, I don't think anybody else has been starting that long, but I know, as you know, part of the football team practicing, I see you as a leader of the defense, as a leader of the team. Is there any difference there from like you versus some of the other even returning starters? Like we've seen Sean play before. We've seen Alex. We've seen Hayden Clayman. We've seen. I mean, I don't want to say specific names, but we've seen returning starters. But is there any difference between them and say you, who's been doing this for years? It feels.
People know that I don't talk a lot when I'm on the field. I just go through and try to do my job as best I can and play. I think that's something that helps focus. I was talking about focus earlier,
Yes.
I think at all, like, we should just focus on how we need to play more than talking bad to the other team, talking bad to our team, especially, like stuff's going to go wrong in games, but I think we just need to screw our heads on more. Like, you're going to lose your patience sometimes, but I think we need to bring it together a little bit more this next couple games and into the playoffs.
Definitely. I think there's a lot to learn from this Assumption game. First of all, and a little bit of optimism, we can play with a lot of teams. We're going to be able to compete with most, if not all, the teams that we play in the playoffs this season. We can make it. But if we're going to compete and going to win a tough game against whoever we play against in the playoffs,
you need both sides of the ball.
You don't just need both sides of the ball. Yes, you're very correct. But you need to play disciplined. You need to play focused. You need to stay do your job and do what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you're very, very correct on that. I do want to address a couple of questions. First of all, the first person asked, how do you think the defense can improve? Now, I think we have two very different perspectives on this. I'll answer the question, then I want to see what your thought is, because it's going to be very different from mine, I presume. We'll see. But from somebody that sees the offense and the offense's struggles throughout the season, and then I see our defense, even against what will end up being the district champions in Assumption, forcing 6 turnovers and stopping these very good teams so many times and holding them to so many points. Yes, the defense can improve, but I don't know how to do that. I'm very happy with where the defense is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to – well, what do you think about that?
Well, the most important thing is trust. I feel like there's not a lot of trust. We're talking about this in meetings. I'm probably not supposed to say this, but Coach James wants us to trust him. He asks us for his trust. He says, I've done this longer than anyone, which he has, and that we need to trust him. Why have we not been trusting him so far?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, why are people not bought in by now? And, like, we just need to trust Coach James more than anything. I feel like the more we trust his game plan and stop worrying about everything else and just hit what he wants us to do, I feel like we'll come together a lot more. Yeah, that's it.
Definitely. I understand that a lot. I think that goes for both sides of the field. Now, obviously, for specifically Coach James, it's a lot about the defense.
Mm-hmm.
But that goes back a lot to discipline and about understanding, first of all, he's the coach and we're the players, that, he has his job for a reason. And to follow him and to trust him and to trust that adult in that situation is very important. And I think definitely everyone can improve in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Also ask, how do you guys feel about senior night this Friday? Now, I don't know if he's asking about the events or about the game, because I think they're two very different answers.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of excited for the festivities. I mean, it's kind of nice. It's a little bit of a distraction from the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of fun. Do you have anything to say about that?
I just hope our team has a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's pretty much it. Don't get too distracted from the game, because we have a lot to learn. Like people think of these games like against a lower class or a lower seed.
Right.
They think it's just going to be a blowover, but like, you learn from games like this. Like, you learn everything messed up last week has to be perfection to this week.
Yes.
That's number one. And two, if we can get some younger players in there in the game by halftime,
Right.
That's the most important part, I think. Give the younger kids a chance to play.
Yes. I think there's a lot of character that we'll see from Vanderbilt as a whole this week. Not just in rebounding from a tough loss, but from not getting distracted from the impending blowout.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have to play very well in order to beat this team by a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, because of that, we cannot loosen our grip. We have to play, because this will be a game that we can play fundamentally perfectly.
I feel like this game reflects how we'll play next week after
Yes.
Morgan City.
Yes.
That's the most important thing to me, because I feel like if we play good this game, it will carry over into the next game. Most importantly,
We get that fine tuning. We get that chance to really perfect our craft going into playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And if we utilize this well, if we utilize this the way that we can be very dangerous going into playoffs. likely 6-4 unless something disastrous happens. Likely 6-4, and with a chance to really cause some damage coming to the playoffs. And I'm very excited to see that. Carter asks if he thinks it's too late to join the team. Yes, it is too late to join the team.
I think it is too late. Yeah, it is too late.
I mean, I guess you could ask Coach today, but I don't think so. No, that you do that in May or June, not now. And then about the game, I think we talked about that a good bit because they really do relate into each other, both the events and the game. Obviously, I'm very excited for everyone in every sport to get that commemoration that all those years of hard work they deserve.
It's
we try to train these younger kids to like buy in and stuff, and I know they've missed a lot of JV games this season, probably three I would think or something like that. But it sucks for them, it's nobody on our staff's fault, but I know they're grinding out there with us just as much as we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they need a chance to play, chance to learn. So I hope they get to.
I wish they did, and I can't wait for them to have more chances to do that. Hopefully next year.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with you. I definitely think I wish they had the more chances than they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that does get lost sometimes in senior night. That this is a whole team. This isn't just the people that won't be here next year.
Mm-hmm.
What's more important for the future is the people that will be here next year, the year after that, and the year after that. And I think that points to what you're talking about a lot. Coach Flower says, continue to care for your teammates. They'll go far. Best of luck moving forward. I'm excited for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Coach.
I don't know what the person above him is talking about, and I will ignore it. Just it's okay.
I want to read it, but okay.
It's 4 retracted messages by a username that I will not repeat.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yes, this is tough loss for us, but this is a chance for us to rebound, regroup, refine our craft, and go into the playoffs with a purpose and a chance to do something special. So, and I think if that is to happen and we are to be successful in playoffs, you're going to be a very large part of that as the team. And congratulations for the great game, even despite the results. And thank you for being on.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. No, Mark, I don't think Chandler can take off his shirt.
Okay. All right, later.
See ya. As we will get a little bit. Oh, let's see here. Okay. Let me do this. Not perfect. This will work. No, Carter, I will not, because there are other people watching this. This is mixed company because this is YouTube. Okay. So, a lot to talk about this week. And I talked about the assumption game a lot with Chandler, and there were a lot of great points made with that, but there's a lot still more to talk about. I want to talk about the game as a whole and recap the game as a whole. Because not from a Vanderbilt's fan perspective, but from a spectator and a story perspective, it's one of my favorite football games that I've ever seen. Being a Vanderbilt fan, now, yes, the story doesn't have an happy ending for, I guess, now I understand not everyone came to the game. A lot of people did that are watching this, but not everyone came to the game. Maybe you don't know the results. Vanderbilt did end up losing. I hinted at it multiple times earlier on, but Vanderbilt did end up losing 26-20 in overtime to the Assumption Mustangs, and unless something weird happens, and Assumption loses to, I think they're playing South Lafourche, and we beat Morgan City, where we could have like a co-district championship, they will be district champions this season. And that's, I talked a lot about the story last week, and all of the years of build-up and this one chance to beat Assumption, this one last chance to really not just build the program in the future with the district championship, but to, get that victory that these seniors, that these people like me have been waiting for 4 years, and we came up short. And the story doesn't have a happy ending. We lost. but the story itself of this game is something amazing. It is easily the best game this year from Vanderbilt, and it will have some tough competition from being the best game this entire year as a Vanderbilt school, the best sporting event. So I'm going to be quick about it because we're already 25 minutes into the episode. I'm going to be as quick as I can about recapping the game, but there's so much to talk about. So we go into the game. We're big underdogs. A Twitter poll showed us with a 22% chance of winning the game. Assumption was 78% chance, of course. And going into the game, Assumption starts driving the ball down the field, and we're having struggles. We force the fumble that I was talking about earlier. And after another forced fumble, I think it was an interception actually, another turnover, we get the ball deep in Assumption territory, and we call a trick play. The trick play works, double reverse, throw it to the quarterback. Gavin completes it, evades a tackler, scores a touchdown, and we throw that first punch. Something we have struggled with throughout this season. Now, last week, because of a fake punt, we ended up scoring the first touchdown, which is great. But throughout this season, it's something we struggled with. And against the biggest game of the year, it was something we had to do. And we did it. And our offense punched it into the end zone. And then Austin Lede gets his extra point blocked. And that hurts for a lot of reasons. First of all, nightmares from the last couple of years, last couple of times we were here, the missed extra points our freshman year leading to the loss, and the blocked extra point last year directly leading to the loss. We have very, very poor memories of extra points in the PAT field as it being fielded in general against Assumption, and that just rears its ugly head back after that blocked extra point. So we're up 6-0. Assumption, after a really bad punt from Gavin Daigle, something I noticed the first couple of times that he punted the ball, they were not great punts. He was kind of off his game early on in the game with punting. Like, he had one that rolled a bunch and should have been like a 40, 50-yard punt and ended up only being like 37 yards. And then he had one that only went for about 25. And I was concerned, and then he shanks it. It goes sideways off his foot. Net from the line of scrimmage, -2 yards, and they drive in and they score off of that first touchdown that I was talking about with Chandler. We're down 7-6, throw another pick, have another fumble. We end up going into the half down 20-6. A little bit about that 2-point conversion, or in the 20, not 21. That's an important note. They score their third touchdown. On the extra point, there's an offsides. They accept the penalty and go for 2 and are stopped, which are all very important points that I wish I could go into a little bit more, but I can't really. They decide to go in for the 2 points. They get stuffed, and instead of being down 15 at half, we're down 14. That ends up being very, very important later on. Halftime. We're down 20-6. And we make the halftime adjustments necessary to be able to go win this game. Our offense, after the trick play, throughout the first half and the beginning of the second half, we get the ball to start the second half. Feels like it's getting dominated by the Assumption defense. Assumption hadn't let up a point for the last month. Playing against not great teams, but for a month they hadn't given up a point. They give up the 6 points to the touchdown, to the trick play, and after that they just ate our offense alive for what felt like was going to be the rest of the game. A 14-point difference felt like a mile with how their defense was playing in the first half and even in the beginning of the second half. It felt like it was going to be too much. But then we get towards the end of the third quarter, still 20-6, and we get big play. Really interesting fourth down conversion on like a nice crease of the offense, a nice wrinkle of the offense we hadn't seen. Hand off to Caleb. He punches it into the end zone. Touchdown Terriers. We go down 20-13. Right at the end of the third quarter. I think we had the kickoff and then the third quarter ended. So at that rate, we score one more and we end up tied and we go to overtime. So theoretically speaking, at that point, we should be able to get into overtime. Fourth quarter starts, and Assumption punts the ball. We still don't really have a pulse on offense the next time we punt the ball, but we only need one touchdown. We only need one thing to happen, one drive, one score to tie up the game and go to overtime. They get the ball with about 9 minutes left. And one of the most interesting drives I had ever we'll get back-to-back, maybe the two most intense, interesting drives I'd ever seen watching a football game before. Assumption, handoff. They're starting to pound the ball down our throats. We only need one more stop to give our offense one more chance at tying up this game. One more is all we need. But they're starting to drive down. And if they drive down and kick a field goal, the game ends. If they drive down and score a touchdown, the game really ends. And there's just not much we can do. And we're starting. They convert a 3rd and 15 off of a screen or 3rd and 10 off of a screen, and it just feels unstoppable. They're attacking at all angles. They can barely convert a 3rd down, and then something special happens. They get behind the chains, and I think it was a sack and then a penalty. They get to like 3rd and 20, and the crowd starts to erupt. Keep in mind, this was a road game. The crowd starts to erupt, because the conventional wisdom is the defense. When you're on defense, if you're at home, the crowd is on fire. When you're on offense, the crowd's quiet. But this is a road game. This was maybe the best crowd Vanderbilt had at any of our games this season, which in one way is understandable. I mean, it's district, but we had a bigger crowd, not a bigger crowd, but we had a more loud crowd here than we might have had at the Edie White game at home or at the homecoming game at home. That's wild. That's insane to think about. And it was a great crowd the entire night. Just as a part of the football team, I want to thank you guys for all of your support during that game. It was amazing. I cannot thank you, all the people that came out to the game, enough for how much you cheered and how much you cared about that game. It was a district championship game. It was so important, and we had the support we needed. I got to the game, and I was thinking, wow, there are a lot of Vanderbilt people here. It was maybe 50-50. It was not 50-50. The crowd noise, it was about 65-35, maybe even 70-30 Vanderbilt. It felt like a home game. That's partially because Assumption doesn't have away seats. It's all on their side, all the bleachers. But it's also partially because of how many people came to the game. I mean, it felt like a home game at that point, on that 3rd down, on that 4th down. The fans knew the stakes of those plays. The fans knew that if we stopped them here, we got one more chance to go and tie the game and potentially win a district championship. The fans knew that, and they cheered like they knew that. And it was amazing to experience from the press box. But Assumption, they get stopped, but they drive the ball down about 30 yards. They punt the football, and Vanderbilt gets 3 minutes, 2 timeouts, and they have to drive the ball the length of the field, 81 full yards, in order to tie up or potentially even win the game with a 2-point conversion. Remember, Assumption went for 2 to go up 16 points, and they missed it, and that's why we don't need 8 here. We need 7, and instead of needing to tie it with a 2-point conversion, we could maybe win the game with a 2-point conversion. So I think, I don't know, but I theorize in our coaches' minds, what's going on right now is score, go for 2, get it, win the game. That's what's going through their minds. Put that on the back burner. We have to actually get in the end zone first. 81 yards. And if the first drive, the drive before was amazing, this was something different. The roller coaster of emotions as a Vanderbilt fan that I went through watching this game, watching this drive, was second to none. We get stopped. First of all, we get one big play from Gavin Hunter Porsche, thrown, great pass, and that kind of just gets us, get the drive started, because it's something we hadn't done a lot during this game. We'd had like 4 3-and-outs. We had to punt the ball a bunch of times. We needed a pulse before we needed to be able to score, and we get that pulse there down to the 35-yard line on our own side of the field. But then we get incomplete pass, dropped interception, and the interception at any point ends the game. incomplete pass. We're on 4th and 10. We are in a very rough scenario. Gavin evades about, he's, just running around in the pocket trying to get an open receiver, chucks the ball up like a Hail Mary, and the play goes on for about 15 seconds. The ball falls incomplete, and I see a flag on the field. In 90% of scenarios, when you see one of those really, really long plays on offense, like a broken play that just goes and they break a few guys and something good happens, usually when something good happens, you get a holding or a block in the back or an eligible receiver downfield, something like that. And I think on 4th down, incomplete pass, flag on the play, probably offensive, the game's over. That's what probably the deal is. The referee comes out, and keep in mind, this is a Vanderbilt team. The entire game, we got penalized terribly. That's partially because the referees I didn't think were very good, but it's partially because we weren't playing that well. And a lot of the, as a disciplined team, we weren't playing very well. Something Chandler talked about a lot. And we had a lot of penalties. We made a lot of mistakes. So I see the flag, and I'm especially thinking it's going to be on Vanderbilt. But the referee, the white hat, goes up. Pass interference on the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. And we go from being a team with 0 chance to win the game to a team that is breathing new life with a chance for the district championship. We get another big play. Personal foul, late hit. We get stopped again, 3rd and 8, throw an incompletion, pass interference. And it was a pass interference. When we're getting down to the end zone, 2nd goal on the 8. Gavin Dingle runs, scrambles, gets to the end zone, scores, and there's a flag. The flag doesn't negate the touchdown. It's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. It's a taunting penalty. I didn't see it with my own eyes, but from what I heard, it was Gavin was pointing to somebody. It was a mistake, a really costly mistake, and I'll explain why. In most scenarios, when you get a taunting penalty in that situation, on a touchdown, especially late in the game, you're going to want that penalty on the ensuing kickoff because you want a shorter field with a better chance to maybe go and tie the game or win the game. But Assumption did not do that. This was the first scenario, and I've been watching football for a long time. This was the first scenario I'd ever seen where it was not only the decision that the team made, but it was the 100% slam dunk correct decision for the team to force the penalty on the point after attempt. You don't see that. But it was definitely the right decision here, and it was definitely what they did. Because that changes the situation from either you get the pretty solid, Asamoah's missed a lot of extra points, but pretty solid, you tie the game up, or you have the chance to gain 3 yards and win the game right here, to you either have to hope Austin Lede has the ability to kick a 30-yard field goal, or you have to try to hit a 15-yard play, which isn't something statistically that you can ever go for in that situation. So we have to hope in this game, in order to go to overtime, it takes out the 2-point conversion. In order to go to overtime, we have to hope in this game, at Assumption, the place where we've missed all of these extra points before, and it's cost us so many games, we have to hope that our freshman kicker, who's missed one this game, hits an extra point to get us to overtime right now. And he doesn't. And he hits the extra point, and we go to overtime, tied 20-20. Keep in mind, if Assumption didn't go for 2, and they kick the extra points, we're praying to launch a ball into the end zone for 15 yards and try to have to convert that 2-point conversion to try to get to overtime. But instead, we kick the extra points, and we go to overtime. And in one way or another, I talked about the ensuing drive. Assumption had about 40 seconds. Gets intercepted by Chandler. It almost gets run back. Doesn't get run back. We end up going to overtime. One way or another, through roller coaster after roller coaster after emotional roller coaster from Vanderbilt, we end up getting the game to overtime. And what happens in overtime is one of the most disheartening series of 5 plays I've ever seen. The first play, they just say, you know what? We're just going to go for it. First down and 10. From the 10, you have to gain 10 yards to get the touchdowns at the 10 in high school overtime. Just throw a fade ball deep to their number 2 receiver. And I think it was Alex Lawrence was on him. He gets by the guy, and the wide receiver goes up and gets it pretty easily for the touchdown. And the thing is, in overtime, letting a touchdown happen isn't always the end of the world, but letting a touchdown happen within one play and just giving it up right away is really disheartening to a team. It just kind of lets all of the air out of the room for that sideline. And that's what happened. Now, that's not to say that we couldn't score, but it was a huge momentum killer for a Vanderbilt team that had all of the momentum at this point. Because if momentum goes the way it does, we win the game in overtime. But Assumption just flipped the switch. And it was very impressive of them to do it. They flipped the switch, and they got it off in overtime. They scored the touchdown. The very next play, the extra point gets blocked by Alex Lawrence, the same person who just gave up the touchdown. What a great, short-term memory. Don't worry about what happened in the last play. A phenomenal play from Alex. I think it was Alex Lawrence. Whole group of Terriers block the extra point, and that puts us in prime position to go and win the game. 26-20, score a touchdown. Score a touchdown, something we can do from the 10-yard line. Austin Lede kicks an extra point to win the game. And it's going to be beautiful. But what happens? 1st and 10, we run the ball, we get about a yard. Caleb Calhoun gets tackled. 2nd and 10, we see a nice one-on-one matchup with Hayes Thompson against their number 2 cornerback. Throw it up. And to me, it looks like pass interference. No call, incomplete pass, 3rd down and 10. At this point, you kind of have to go for the fade ball. So we decided, we see that same matchup again. Gavin throws it up to Hayes again. The guy, to me, looks like he commits pass interference again. It's incomplete again, and again, there is no call. So that leaves us with 4th down and 9. With one more chance, basically the game on the line. We hit this. Austin Lede probably hits the extra point with all the momentum, and we win the game. 4th and 9. Bunch formation, get the ball, Hunter Porsche, one-on-one coverage. He's going to get to the ball. The defender basically tackles him. It's, to me, clear pass interference. Incomplete pass. No call. And the game just ends like that. And while to many people, especially on the Vanderbilt side, don't see that as a great game, sometimes not all stories have happy endings. And that's what happened here. I love football for the stories that happen, the stories that come in telling those stories. And sometimes those stories don't have a happy ending for us. The game itself is still amazing. The story of the game, with all of the background, with all of the things that happened, was still amazing. But it didn't come out the way we wanted to. We're going to likely be the runner-ups in the district this year. Again, unless something weird happens and we get the co-district championship. It was an unfortunate series of events to finish. A lot of things could have gone differently. I talk about the 6 turnovers that we forced. We gave up 3 turnovers of our own and a really bad punt that was essentially also a turnover with field position. And sometimes it happens. Sometimes things just don't go the way we want to. But this team still has a chance. Our senior year still has a chance to do something special, like I said, with Chandler. And it's going to come down to a lot of different things for us to be able to do that. So a lot to talk about for that team in the future. That's it for the game itself. I'm going to move on to a couple of other things. Going to try to be quick. We are 45 minutes into the episode. The Assumption game was worth that much. It was a game that was worth talking about a lot, but we are really, really deep in the episode. So only 2 other events that happened this week. Closing out district play for volleyball. We ended up having senior night against South Terrebonne. We ended up winning that in pretty convincing fashion. And then we had one more game later on in the week, which I think we also won. That was it in reviews for the week. In previews, obviously there is the one big thing, and that is senior night. I think there are a few other things, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because we are very, very late into this episode. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up just talking about senior night for football, and that kind of encompasses everything else, so I apologize if I'm not talking about some other things, but just going to talk about senior night for now, and then I'll wrap it up for us. So, senior night, Morgan City, obviously a big bounce back game for us. Something interesting is that we've almost always played Morgan City the week after the Assumption game, and I feel like after a loss to Assumption, we beat Morgan City a lot harder because of that game. So I kind of feel bad for Morgan City because of that. But Morgan City's not a good team. They're really, really bad. They are in a lot of ways a laughing stock as a team. It is the main event for this week. They are not a good team, but it's senior night. All the seniors for all the sports are going to get commemorated for all the fall sports. They're going to get commemorated here. Given respect for the hard work that they've gone through all these years at Vanderbilt, even 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, all these years. And, this is their reward for it. And I, want to give every athlete during the fall sports all of the, everything for that. All of the congratulations that they deserve for this game, for everything that they've done. Now, talking about the game, Morgan City's really bad. Morgan City's a really bad team, and this should be an easy victory, but we still have to play focused. We still have to play strong and focused and disciplined in order for us to have that focus in future weeks. We can't just blow this game off. We can't just play indisciplined. We can't just play without, not playing the way that we need to play. There's a certain way that you play the game of football. Disciplined, focused, refined, fine-tuned, and we have to be able to do that in this game. Just because it's easier to do against a bad opponent doesn't mean that you don't have to do it. You have to play with that same intensity that you would against Assumption or against whoever we start out against in the playoffs. You have to be able to do that. If we do that, I can see some great things in the future. There's no question about who wins the game unless, again, something disastrous happens. I would be very surprised. I think we win by a lot. But there's so much more to this game than just winning. It's an experience. It's an event that we have to be able to do. So, of course, I wish the best of luck to all the Terriers this week and all the senior nights. Of course, Loyola had their senior night last week. And all of that throughout the week and throughout the finale of their senior season. And I congratulate them for all their hard work this season and in years past. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, for a little special episode with just talking about the Assumption game for the most part. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys next week, same time, same channel. I will see you then.